Talkopolis programming is sponsored by the following. Highland Hills, a multicultural, diversified funeral home supporting the entire Davidson County community. Visit our website at www.highlandhillsfuneralhome.com or call us at 615-650-5555.
Hi guys, Kane Harrison here. Welcome to Serious Startups, where we explore the nuts and bolts of successful entrepreneurship. We're joined again by our wonderful panel, Monica Selby. Welcome.
Thanks.
John.
Thank you.
Welcome, my friend. And we also usually have Dave Ledgerwood here, who is out exploring the world of entrepreneurship, knee deep in some sort of trouble, I'm sure. Today we're going to talk about ideas, which is generally the start of every entrepreneur's path. We recently spoke with Brian Church about IP and protection and all those different things. Let's talk about how you feel about that. I mean, from an entrepreneur's standpoint first.
Sure. So personally, I kind of saw where Brian was coming from with the need for IP and the need for provisional patents and protection for your ideas and that kind of thing. But as an entrepreneur, I also know that it can be, it's how important it is to get out there as quickly as you can. Get your idea out there, talk about it, flesh it out, figure out where you're wrong, because you're probably wrong somewhere, and start executing. And so one of the things that we've said a lot is that ideas are really not worth anything. Execution is where it's worth anything.
Right.
So I personally feel like if you're going to go to the trouble of patenting and idea protection, that kind of thing, you need to find something that's executable and patent that. Patent part of the execution rather than the idea.
John?
Well, I would agree with everything you just said there, but I think the importance of going after the IP patents and where Brian was coming from and all that is that from an investor perspective, they're probably not going to want to be involved, or there's a lesser chance of them wanting to become involved if you haven't at least gone down that path from a potential licensing perspective down the road. If anybody that watches Shark Tank, you see them talking about that every single time, and it's, oh, I'll invest if you give me X on the license and things of that nature. But circling back around to sharing the idea and finding something that's executable, one of the things I always run into with startup founders that come and pitch me an idea is they dancing around what they consider the nugget of their idea, and I'm sitting there trying to figure out how to help them and give them insight on business model or revenue model, development, marketing, customer acquisition, all that kind of stuff. And they won't tell me the comprehensive view of the idea to go find that executable thing. And I'll never forget one time I had to sit in my office with a guy presenting an idea to me, and it finally got to the point where I said, look, he kept telling me, I don't want to tell you the secret sauce. I can't tell you the secret sauce. But he's asking me to invest in his idea. And I finally got so irritated with it, I sat up in my chair really quickly and said, you got a pen, or do I need to find one? We'll sign an NDA and get this over with. I'm tired of wasting time.
Right.
And the reason I'm saying all that is I would wager the investors on a larger scale probably feel a very similar way when they're being pitched an idea and it's being held back, whether you have the IP protection or not. So I say get out there and tell people.
I think, though, that's two different phases of the whole process. Like, if we're talking about ideas, we're talking about last weekend, I came up with this great idea that's going to solve this huge problem. That's not the time to go and get a provisional patent on my idea. That's the time to start talking about it. Now, when it's time to talk to investors, then you should be far enough along. You shouldn't even be looking for investment unless you're far enough along to have something to invest in.
I agree with that.
And,
I know
and at that point, that's
we
when
were talking about that off camera before, in that, and we touch on this a lot, and we will continue to. Silicon Valley has kind of gone through this whole thing where they would throw money at ideas because they were looking for the next big idea. There was enough money out there in the pool to kind of throw and see what stuck. But the climate in the Southeast, I think, is far different. The investor is so used to business plans and all these different things, so we can actually work out how we're going to make money. But I think the most important thing that I take out of a conversation like this is those who can do. So if you can come up with the idea and then push that idea to a place where you do attract investment, that's all well and good. There's a lot of people out there who will come up with a great idea and just don't have the balls, or the foresight, or I mean, because it's not. Sometimes it's not even about developing the team. I mean, if you have to be seen to believe in it enough yourself, and then walk into a room with investors, and if you can show that passion, show that you're trying your hardest to develop this idea, give them the secret sauce so they know what to be passionate about themselves, and then I'm sure that they will find passion in the project.
The secret sauce. The secret sauce. I mean, that's such crap, right?
Yeah.
Like, real secret sauce, again, is executable. So
Right.
if we're talking about this guy sitting down with an idea, I don't know what phase, if this was like at Dev Digital where they're looking to develop, or if it was before, but if they're looking to develop, then they don't have a secret sauce. Like,
No, I agree completely on that. And to your point on passion, in my opinion, that's the key element of entrepreneurship in general. If you don't have passion for your idea, but are also able to somewhat subjugate the passion by applying logic, in this case, figuring out the executable MVP model, revenue models, all of those sort of things, your passion is irrelevant, especially when you're standing in front of the investors, or even if you're
Right.
bootstrapping and not needing investment capital. If you don't have that fire when you're getting out and trying to sell your own Kool-Aid, so to speak, then you're not going to be able to gain the traction to grow the company. And every single one of us has been an entrepreneur in multiple facets, and we all know that you're never going to stay up all hours of the night, work on the weekends, and be drinking
I just think there's
energy
this
drinks to keep going. if you don't have the
romantic
passion.
notion. I mean, this gets back to the word entrepreneur getting thrown around way too much. There's this romantic notion now that we can sit down, have a couple of beers, come up with a great idea, and then we're going to have an exit within 2 weeks, and we're going to be sitting on a yacht somewhere. I mean, what nonsense? That's, you know.
right. I wish it worked that way.
Yeah, right. But proof of concept. And
Do you see
know,
these bags under my
I
eyes?
know.
I know, right?
But to that
you see how I
point,
can barely keep my eyes
I'm
open?
glad. I mean, I say this all the time when people ask about some of the endeavors that I'm involved in. They say, you know, how hard you work. I say, I'm glad it's hard because it's supposed to be. So these people who think I can just have an idea and then 2 weeks later have an exit, they just all go away eventually, you know.
Right.
And so you just have to keep forging through. And I think that is, well, this is what I have to believe, that is what most investors see, is that people who are doing those very things, and as we all know, the secret sauce changes because nearly every successful entrepreneurial story has a pivot point where it turns into something else.
4 or 5 or 10. Or
Oh,
right.
That's exactly right.
That's true. And in context of sharing the idea with friends and family specifically, one of the things I know I've run into, I've had multiple businesses and ideas and helped others, and early on, and even now, but especially early on, I became so focused on that concept and not wanting to really talk about it and just develop it out and kind of punch everybody in the face when it launched and, hey, I've been successful and what's going on. I really started to not, because I wasn't sharing the idea, friends started to view me as not being around anymore. I wasn't interested in maintaining a friendship and a relationship. And, oh, John's off doing something crazy. Who knows what he's doing these days. And when the times came when I really wanted friendships, we were still knew each other and we were still friends, but not that close friendship that would have really mattered. They'd be there for you when you need them. And I think as an entrepreneur, the passion that we're talking about, the drive, the bags under your eyes and all that, become much easier to overcome when the obstacles that are going to come in business in general, if you have those relationships that are maintained. So sharing that idea and sharing that passion that we're talking about, not just the little nuggets and holding back the secret sauce. You have to share with people how you can make a difference, in my opinion.
I think
that's good insight.
I was just going to say, that's an interesting topic though, because I think that in entrepreneurship, there's an element of narcissism. There has to be. It's true. I mean, there honestly has to be, because you have to believe that what you're doing is the right thing to do. And it can be very difficult when you turn to all your family and friends who perhaps don't understand the concept, don't understand the idea, don't understand even the climate and where you're pointing this idea. So to have that balance of what you're saying, in that those good friends around you where you are so self-consumed in what you're doing, and then you're trying to tell them and finding that line of between, okay, maybe this isn't a good idea. No one around me gets this. Does that mean I'm wrong? That's a really interesting point to go down. And quite honestly, we had that with Talkopolis because we were kind of always thinking ahead of the curve, and especially when social media was booming, and we're sitting around trying to explain everything to everyone, and everyone's like, nah, that's not going to happen. That can't work. And so you do start to have that little bit of self-doubt that creeps in. So you need to have the passionate business partners, the voices of reason, I think around you, and developing that group of core people around you as well. But interesting.
Yeah, the point you're making on the self-doubt coming. I wrote an article on LinkedIn about that exact concept, how people are, the friends and family they're going to be the ones that get behind you first, and they're also the first to fade, especially when it comes to, all right, so can I borrow $100? I'm broke and I need to pay my rent. I mean, that happens to pretty much anybody that's ever bootstrapped a business of any kind.
Yeah.
And even further down the road, there's many times when cash flow doesn't come into play and you need to borrow money, and oftentimes they're going to shift back to, maybe you should go get that 9-to-5 back, get that great job, and it's be easier if you're doing it, because they don't have that same passion and entrepreneurial fire that you might have. So your point on people not understanding the concept, I often recommend that you're going to run into that with your friends and family anyway, regardless of your idea and how good it is. But leverage that as an opportunity to figure out how to overcome objection with people who actually give you the time to try and overcome their objection. And figure out, since you know those people very, very well, figure out analogies that have relevancy to them in relation to your concept. And as you plan to do that and do it over and over and over again, your elevator pitch, so to speak, gets better and better, but you're also being able to learn how to present your concept to different personality types, which when you're going down the road to larger customer acquisition or getting investment, you can have that quick read of, this is the type of person that this particular investor is. Well, I already know how to pitch that kind of guy or girl because of their personality type.
No, we know it's a guy.
Are you saying that investor relations is sexist right now?
Just a tad.
Maybe
just a tad.
This sounds like another topic. You want to finish off with the last comment?
Yeah, I was just going to say, though, the one thing about friends and family and testing your idea is that don't stop at friends and family, because they're a good starting point, but no investor is going to take you seriously if you're like, yeah, my mom loves it.
Well, I just think, closing comment from me is that I think that you need to look at your idea as if you are a cook in the kitchen. I mean, you can have the greatest cheesecake in the world in your mind, but go and give your family and friends a taste. Maybe it's got a little too much salt or whatever it's got in it. So, I mean, people don't just develop Coca-Cola and go, here to millions of people, this is how it goes. There's an element of what you need to go through to test the market. And I think that's what we're talking about, is look at your idea like it's the beginning of a product and test that in the market to as many different people as you can. Majority of the people that you are showing this or telling this idea to have got a 9-to-5 job or are knee deep in something else or have their own agenda. So very few times have I ever heard where someone snatches the idea and runs like crazy with it.
Right, exactly.
Besides Mark Zuckerberg, but that's a different story. Who would have thought Facebook would be as big as it is? But we've enjoyed having you guys join us for Serious Startups again. Don't forget to jump on SeriousStartups.com, and you can follow Serious Startups at Serious Startups. And also look at Talkopolis.com for more of these shows, of course. And we'll see you guys next time on Serious Startups. Thanks, guys.